Hi, this is JT Romuto. Welcome to the Philly Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. It's the Philly Show. Hope everybody's doing well. It is Friday, May 16th, 2025. Jim, what's going on today, my man?
Just getting ready for a big series, Phillies Pirates. Looking forward to seeing big Zach Wheeler take the mound on Saturday. And hey, I'm a baseball fan. I'm looking forward to seeing Paul Skeens pitch in Citizens Bank Park on Sunday.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. I mean, I remember in spring training, the Phillies were excited. I don't want to say excited, but they were looking forward to Paul Skeens facing them in a Grapefruit League game in Clearwater at Baycare Ballpark. But then there was like rain in the forecast, or it was raining earlier in that day. So they said Paul Skeens is not coming up
That's right.
to Clearwater. We're not going to risk him slipping on a wet mound or anything like that.
No
They
way.
did not get to face him, but they were looking forward to it because they wanted to get a look at him. I mean, thinking that, hey, we might see him at some point during the season, and lo and behold, this will be their first time actually getting to face him. Will be in the season. So it's kind of funny how that stuff works out.
Mm-hmm.
But so let me run by the pitching matchups real quick. It's Andrew Haney in the series opener tonight. He's a lefty against Ranger Suarez, who had a real nice start last weekend in Cleveland. Then it's Carmen Mladzinski versus Zach Wheeler on Saturday. That's a 6:05 start. And then, of course, like as we just said, Paul Skeens versus Christopher Sanchez, 1:35 start on Sunday. So, very much looking forward to that. The Phillies lost their first series since late April this week. They'll drop 2 or 3 against the Cardinals, so they're hoping to get back on the winning side of things against the Pirates, who they've got a lot of issues outside of Paul Skeens.
Yeah. They it's kind of sad what's happened. It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
The level of ownership commitment in that town to baseball is just not there, and I've seen it be a good baseball town. I mean, there's chatter about would it be wise to trade Paul Skeens, and I find that just sad. You draft a pitcher, and I don't think they're going to trade him by any means, but just the fact that it's even in the discourses is sad. You get a pillar like that, I think you build around him, but it's an unfortunate situation over there.
Yeah, and just knowing that it's like, well, you got to win now because you only got like 5 years left of Paul Skeens, or now it's like 4.5 years left of Paul Skeens. That also is sad if you're a Pirates fan going, our window is literally this small, if everything breaks right, so that's kind of sad. Speaking of good pitchers, Jim, Andrew Painter pitched last night, Thursday night, for AAA Lehigh Valley. It was his second start for Lehigh Valley, pitched up in Syracuse. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, gave up a home run. So 2.25 ERA in his first 2 starts for the Iron Pigs. Everybody likes to know about his velo. His velo was sitting in the 96s, 97s. Got a lot of swings and misses on all of his pitches. 4-seamer, 5 whiffs. Curveball, 5 whiffs. Cutter, 3 whiffs. Changeup, 3 whiffs. Slider got a whiff. So 17 swings and misses on all of his pitches. So he's, going to keep building, going to keep working. And are we thinking July is still, Jim?
It's funny you asked that because I've been thinking we had our little predictions, right, a few weeks ago, and we've been clinging on to that quote from Dave Dombrowski, July-ish. Could be mid to late June, could be sometime in July. That's July-ish. And I targeted that first game in San Francisco. Do you have the schedule? Was that July 8, I want to say?
I think you might be right. That's a midweek series. Let me pull the schedule up real quick. It's funny because you and I remember this. We were thinking along the same lines here. I had I can't remember exactly. I had a weekend game in San Diego. So it's July 7th.
Okay.
The series opener in San Francisco.
That's the game I was targeting because, I would like to get him away from the hoopla of Philadelphia, get him 2,500 miles away because, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the kid regardless. So it's going to be banged out in Philadelphia when he makes his first start. But I'd rather ease him in, good pitcher's ballpark. Get him out of town. Just, ease a little bit of the hype and the attention. Let him get his feet wet, and then debut him at home in his next start. So what was that again, the 7th?
July 7th, yes.
Okay.
July 7th.
I'm starting to question that now because and it's not because he's, dominating or anything. It's just like I'm thinking like, well, how many starts and how many innings he's going to be down there? And
right.
But I guess I'll stick with that July 7th. I like the idea of doing it on the road and then and letting him, get his legs a little bit and then bringing him home for the second start. But are you rethinking yours?
Well, also, yeah, funny that you say that because he went 5 innings Thursday night in Syracuse. I'm going, how many times is this guy going to pitch 5-6 innings? And you keep hearing about the innings limit, the limit. And Rob Thompson actually said maybe about a month ago, somebody said, what do you think about in terms of his workload? And he's threw out, maybe 120, maybe 130 innings. He mentioned in his office before a game, maybe about a month ago. So you start doing the math, you're going, okay, is he really going to go another month? I know they don't pitch twice a week in AAA, so I guess it's manageable. But yeah, I am starting to wonder if maybe it's June-ish.
But even if he does another month of these 5-inning jobbers in AAA, that puts him at mid-June. So maybe the July-ish is going to be more like the final 2 weeks of June. And I mean, you got Taijuan Walker. He could still – Painter could pitch his 5 innings right here, and Taijuan Walker could piggyback with him.
Right.
And there's other variables. Is Nola going to get it turned around? I don't know. I don't even know if I want to go down that road, but
right.
I'm starting to feel like my July 7th prediction maybe a little tardy.
You might be taking the under now at this point.
Yeah, because I am a gambling man. No, I'm not.
Now, Jim, if you can't get down to the ballpark this weekend, if people can't get down to the ballpark this weekend to see the Phillies Pirates play, you can stop by my neck of the woods in Delco. I'm a Delco dad. Jim, you are in Delco a lot. I know you're in media a lot. You got your media T-shirt on right now.
I got my media T-shirts. One of my kids lives in media. This is my big Christmas present, so I threw it on today. I was there yesterday. Shout out to my daughter Caroline, graduating Widener University's program, doctorate in occupational therapy. Good job, Caroline. Worked really hard over there. Widener in Delco.
That's awesome. So yeah, Delco, man, we've got everything, Jim. You know this, Delco. We got family fun, festivals, great restaurants and bars, gardens, history, trails and outdoor activities. Take it from me. I am a legit Delco dad. And check it out for yourself this weekend, Jim. Here's a couple things got to mention. This Saturday, the Newland Grist Mill in Glen Mills is hosting a public archaeology day. Play Indiana Jones with your kids from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. It's free and open to the public. Sunday, May 18th, head out to Linvilla Orchards for their annual antique car show from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. You can see an outstanding display of spectacularly restored cars. And again, no admission fee. So check that out.
Linvilla, dude. Linvilla is awesome.
Linvilla is great.
Linvilla, you come out August, September, best sweet corn going.
Is that right? Yeah, I haven't been there for this weekend. We go there every fall. Oh, yeah.
You got to get that corn, man.
Have some school field trips out at Linvilla. So find a full list of events at visitdelco.com. They say Delco's a lot, and they're right. And, Jim, we've got a special guest coming up right now. It is Phillies infield coach, Bobby Dickerson. And Bobby is always a blast to talk to.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Bobby. Great conversation with him. He is. He's a real blend guy. We talk about the blend of old school and new school. This guy is that he's hard nosed, old school, kind of out of the John Vukovich, Larry Boa mold. Matter of fact, he's very close with Larry Boa. But he brings in so many of the new technologies in teaching the game. A lot of his videos are out there that you can find him coaching young minor leaguers, coaching his kids, coaching major leaguers, and just some real sound fundamentals. Love listening to this guy. Been an important part of the Phillies. I mean, he's worked with some great ones. Manny Machado, I think he's made Alec Bohm better here in Philadelphia. So, yeah, I think it should be he's been here for all three of their postseason runs. And Bobby's got presence. I look at Bobby, and he's got a lot of smarts. I always think of him as kind of like, I wonder, kind of a managerial candidate somewhere, sometime, for me at least.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. So here we go, Bobby Dickerson. Bobby, thanks for joining the Philly show, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no problem. So we're recording this Friday morning. It's around 9:00. Phillies have a series opener Friday night against the Pirates. I think first pitch is at 6:45. The coaches are always, ridiculously hard workers, and we know you're a hard worker. Can you give fans an idea like what your day is like, especially for a series opener, whether it's home or on the road? When you get to the ballpark, what's your day look like?
Well, we usually get there pretty early, like I'd say between 12 and 1. Sometimes, like Rob Thompson will get there even earlier than that. But if it's the first day of a series, there's an advance report. We try to advance our opponent and get prepared for that so we can have an idea of anything that's going on with the club. Like Pittsburgh today, we'll have a good idea what's going on with them after we advance them and do stuff like that. But have a little lunch, and then we go out, I'd say 2:30, 2:45, and have early hitting or early work with some players. I know Nick Castellanos loves to hit early. He has a little routine he does, and we go out and hit. And that usually takes about an hour, and then we go right into our daily work, ground balls, with the infielders, and that pushes right into BP. And then when we leave the field, the other team gets the field, and pretty much go into our meeting after that. The meeting we prepared for, and we go into a meeting, and then we have something to eat and get ready for the game. But it usually around noon to 11 o'clock or something like that. We're at the ballpark.
I mean, we've all seen you out there with the Fungo and talking to the infield. Is that the most fun you have during the day? I mean, for people that haven't seen it, I mean, there's lots of video. You can find some videos on YouTube, on MLB.com of you doing infield with the guys, talking with the guys, encouraging them, instructing them, getting on them, having fun. Is that the most fun you have during the day?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
I'm on this staff particularly, I'm the infield guy. So it's my little time, my little shtick. And not that like throughout the day, I touch guys and say something to them here or there about a game last night or about a play or maybe about something we're thinking about trying. But that little bit of time with the Fungo is like, I love it. And I have Larry Boa there at home with me. So that's one of my favorite times of the day for sure.
So I watch you all the time, Bobby, especially in spring training. And I think that's when it seems like you can have the most dialed in type of work. And you take individual guys out, but you also take them as a group at times. Talk about what that means to you and to them as far as connecting with them, as far as getting work done and working on something particularly specific.
Yeah, I think the most important thing I tell all young coaches is you got to make sure you build a relationship first. I mean, you could have all the knowledge in the world about whatever you're trying to coach or teach. And if you can't connect with the players and get through to them and have them trust you, it's just, going in one ear and out the other ear. So what you see on the half field in spring training is a lot of, relationship building. For one, when you see me out there one-on-one, it's getting to know guys personally and maybe working on one or two things specifically. And then we get together as a group and we try to have a lot of fun. But that time in spring training is the best for me and for really everything we're trying to get done, just because, the season hadn't started yet. And we're not playing that game every night. Sometimes the guys are off in spring training, like don't have a day. So I could really push them hard or try some new stuff with them. And, can't quite do that the same when the season starts, just because it's such a grueling season. You want to touch on things and basically maintain what you've accomplished in spring training. And sometimes if things aren't going good, then you could talk a guy into going out early and working on something, specific during the season also.
Bobby, when I look at this pitching staff, there's a little bit of old school element to it. And you got some guys who can thrive at the bottom of the zone and keep the ball on the ground. And that makes your job and your pupils very important. And you've worked a lot with Bohm, a lot with Turner, big focus guys for you. I was wondering, tell us about your relationship with those two guys, the improvement you've seen, and where you think, especially with Bohm, improved a lot, and where you think Trea is at this stage of his career?
Well, we'll start with Bohm. You know, when Bohm hit rock bottom a few years ago, and kind of was like the best thing that could happen, really, because now it became wide open coaching. You know, and I could say things and do things with him that normally maybe a player might not have taken at that point. You know, in the major leagues, but you know, he's a limited guy when it comes to what he possesses. He's maybe a step slow. You know, he's not this super, as I call a sand flea middle infielder. You know, he's not running around with quick feet and all that stuff. And so we have to do the best we can with what he has. And we just really worked on a lot of angle work with him, talked about trying to find the right hop as much as he possibly can. And when he does that, and we've seen him when he you know, catches the short hop coming in. I also talked to him about once he makes that move hard in, that he doesn't have to restop his feet to set up to throw, because that was causing some throwing errors, like to go ahead and throw it on a run to keep his rhythm, like a quarterback throwing on a run. And a lot of naysayers will say, as soon as he throws the ball away, gosh, he's got to stop and set his feet so he can throw that ball. And my argument is it just messes up the rhythm. He's a big guy. When he gets that big truck moving, he tries to stay in rhythm, and it's worked for him. And you know, going back on balls, he's done a better job of, instead of that ball getting on his body and eating him up, he's drop step better. So I mean, he's really improved so much, in my opinion. And the truth is, he did it. You know, I didn't do it. He did it. He went out, he recognized his flaws, and he let me help him, and he went to work on it. And he's a tremendous improvement. Would we like to see more quickness out of him? Yes, but it's what Bohm is. He's a big, huge. He's like a, you know, a center in basketball, or a, you know, he's not the, you know, the wideout that's flying down the field, and it's just a different type body style and different type of skill set. So I love where he is. We want to maintain it. We want to continue to improve, maybe a little bit better with his pre-pitch off the bat. Maybe that can help him a little bit more. I don't harp on it too much. I don't want to be negative on every pitch, but I do touch him with it every once in a while. Say maybe we could have got to that ball, you know, with a little bit better pre-pitch, and we got to continue to be conscious of that. And with Trea, you know, Trea's was basically a bat first middle infielder. I mean, the whole industry talked about it. There was rumors of him going to center. There's rumors of him moving around with other teams that were going to sign him. And we decided we wanted him to be our shortstop, and we signed him. And he's worked real hard at it. I mean, there's been some things that at times he's broke down on, and we've made some mistakes. But for the most part, I think he's improved tremendously. His body control is getting better. His ability to throw on the run is getting better. We're trying to change the backhand play, instead of when he runs over there and drives his knee to the ground and setting up to throw that ball. We're trying to get him around it and go ahead and throw it on a run, basically like Tulowitzki used to do. And he's taken to that pretty good. He's had a couple of those plays lately, and but for the most part, it took probably a year to really get a good relationship with Trea, to get to where the trust would start taking place. And I still think there's better years in front of him at shortstop. I think with his body style, there was things he didn't do young as a middle infielder that he's learning now. And the more he learns it and the more he works on it, the more it's become second nature. And you know, understanding the hop, he's gotten way better at that. He's killing short hops a lot better than he did. His ball transfer, you know, we notice a lot of times when he's about to turn a double play, sometimes the ball's not quite to him yet. He stops a little early, and he could maybe make a step forward and gain a little time and a little space on that hop. So that's something that we were conscious of, and we're continuing to work on. And we've seen it at times where the timing's right, it looks great, the rhythm, everything's there, and we make sure that we say, hey, that was it. How'd that feel? And make sure he can register that. So
if you're a card collector or you'd like to get into card collecting, may I suggest Arena Club and slab packs, which means that you can rip the packs digitally and, of course, get the card that you want. It's also the most trusted name in the game, and I would rather rip packs these days on my phone than sit next to you and have you grabbing one of my physical packs if I was grabbing one.
Yeah, you don't need me grabbing your packs, because last time you grabbed one, it ended up like this card. So let's not have that, and that's why Arena Club is great. They send them to you in these fancy protectors like this Scout Brown card that we have here, and they'll come safe. They're already graded. Or you could do like I do and just leave my cards in the showroom and never actually see them physically.
Yeah.
But they're safe, protected, and if I want to sell them, I can.
Buy, sell, trade. They offer full transparency, showing every card in the slab pack with the likelihood of pulling each one, so you know exactly what's available before you buy. Get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FAL and use code FAL.
Will you talk a little bit, Bobby, about the difference? I mean, you talked about it already a little bit as far as their body types and what their skill sets are. There's so many coaches and people that want to cookie cut, every player. This guy, you need to catch the ball a certain way or approach the ball a certain way or set up a certain way. Talk about how it's, in a lot of ways, I think it's almost like a hitter. Every hitter's different. They have different needs and different trigger points and different things that they have to do to be successful. Can you talk a little bit about that as far as the difference between, Bryson Stott and, Trea Turner or even a guy like Bryce Harper and Alec Bohm?
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things that happens when you're making that relationship happen. You really start to try to figure out who the guy is, how am I going to communicate with him, evaluate the skill sets when you're doing a lot of the drill work. Say, man, this is something he might not be able to do very well. And why am I asking him to do this? Why am I going to continue to ask, Bohm to sprint to his right to make a forehand play or something where, he is a step slower than say Arenado or something. So understanding that is big. I mean, like Trea, for example, he's a Ferrari on dirt, his wheels spin a lot, he's so quick sometimes that it causes him to get his body outside his feet. And if you think about a running back, when he plants his foot to hit the hole, there's a lot of energy exerted into the ground and he pushes and he hits the hole. Well, Trea, sometimes that plant slips because he's more of a wideout than a running back with his speed. So understanding that probably puts Trea in a better place to make throws on the run, to run around and not try to set up every 4 feet, go right and set up, go left and set up, like be more of a freelance type, one-hand player type stuff like that. And those things are, not that he would not set up on a ball, just saying, understanding those would be easier for a guy like that maybe than, say maybe a Gene Segura or something that was here before, more of a built low to the ground, thick-legged guy. So they're just totally different. And when it comes to Bryson, he's probably our most true infielder. I believe he can go all over the infield and play. He plays like a quarterback, like I talk about all the time, like a Tom Brady. He really thinks the game out there, which is neat. I love to talk the game with the guys, especially middle infielders. And Bryson is always doing that. He talks about what could he have done different? Did he have a chance at doing this? Should he have done that? Felt like maybe he was out of position. What I think, should he have been more in double play depth versus trying to play the hitter? Just all kind of different things with Bryson. But his skill set allows him to do a lot of things. He can throw on a run, and he can square up and set and stop his body weight and not lose his body control. He can dive. He's probably our best diver on the infield. He runs so low to the ground when he's making extend plays that it allows him to be more fluid in his dive. I mean, sometimes he gets a little high, which causes him some arm hurt, hurting his arm when he hits the ground when he dives and stuff. But just a total different type player than Trea on the infield. And then Bryce, this guy's amazing. And he just a little bit of time, he's been one of the better first basemen in the league. And he knows there's still things that he can do a little bit better. And he's got so much on his plate every day, with his swing and trying to get going and hitting, that sometimes we back off the defensive work so he can get that bat going a little bit. And he still plays great. So knowing the work that he does when he does put the work in with me when we're out there, I don't have a problem when he misses his grounders and goes in the cage and does his work. We will still continue to talk about, what some of the plays that might happen that night. I mean, like one thing I know, we missed a couple outs earlier in the year on the throw over ball transfer, throw to second. And then yesterday or day before yesterday, he had a great one where we picked him off at first and his transfer was quick and his throw was accurate. I mean, it was looked like a middle infield. And he's worked at that. He's worked at that in spring training. He's worked at that here. So, I was very pleased to see that with him. But all four guys are different. But yet, I think as a group, they're the same. They're all driven to be a solid group. They do take a lot of pride in it. Again, as you said, with our pitching staff and everything, getting ground balls, and we try our best to be prepared for it. Again, most of our guys, if you think about it, Bryce was probably our most true infielder. Trea's always been a bat first infielder. Bohm was a bat first infielder coming out of college. And I think these guys have done a great job improving their game and really, we went to the World Series with Bryce at shortstop, and now he's at second base. And we won 95 games with him at second base. And Trea Turner won a World Series at shortstop. So, we got some pretty talented guys that they're all different, but they're all pretty talented in their own way.
Hey, Bobby, I wanted to ask you, just kind of, I'm curious. Stott, you go to a World Series with him at shortstop. He's been at second base for 3 years. It's a different position. After 3 years at second base, if need ever arose, could he go back and play shortstop? Can you get that back because shortstop is so demanding after being away from it for 3 years?
Yeah, absolutely, he could. It's basically the throw is the biggest thing. He would have to get his timing of his throw back to get rid of the ball a little quicker. I have him go over every once in a while. He likes to go over to the left side now just for throwing purposes, to throw long throws across the infield. Second base, you could lose your arm pretty quickly. So he does hose up on his pivots, though. He really tries to use his arm strength. We're trying to improve his quickness and his transfer and gaining some ground towards the throw. As he's receiving the throw, gain some ground towards it to help his timing. But, he does show his arm strength off with that. And we try to make sure we keep his arm strength. He could definitely go back.
Okay. Bobby, I love the description of Trea as a Ferrari on the dirt. I mean, that's great. And it sounds to me like you believe that he could stay at shortstop for a while. You had mentioned the talk about other teams maybe moving to center field. It's come up here as well, but you could see him sticking at shortstop for a while.
Yeah. What happens to people whenever you're watching your same team or like a coach? I have my four guys and we see them every day. We pop every pimple they have, what they do wrong. We see it and see it and see it. We don't see what's going on with Volpe. We don't see what's going on with any other guy in the league. And there's been plays that I've seen throughout the league that if Trea would have made them or not made them, as I saw, he would get unjustly killed, in my opinion. It's a demanding position. We talked about it. There's a lot of things that take place there. And you could have a game where you make 2 errors or 3 errors, and that hangs over you for a month as far as your numbers. And if you think about it, he had a real bad game in Chicago the other day after making 2 really great plays, and then he made 2 plays that weren't so great. It was 25 degrees out there that day. And then he bounced back, and he played solid for like 14 straight days where turned to double plays. He made all the plays. He made a couple backhand plays in the hole. I always ask myself, we won 95 games. Would we have won 5 more games if Trea wasn't our shortstop? We've won 10 more games. Would we have lost 10 more games? I mean, who knows? We like to say things, maybe somebody else would have made that play or somebody else might not. Well, maybe somebody else wouldn't have scored as many runs as him. Like, my point is we are the Phillies and he is our shortstop. And I think he can stay there. I mean, he's locked in to being better at it. And for me, when you have the work ethic and the aptitude, you can accomplish a lot of stuff. And his body is not getting old. Like he's got that unique body that's not aging fast. So I believe he can stay there. I believe he's going to continue to improve there. I wish I'd have met him when he was 18. because a lot of these things that we are working on now would be behind us. So, but I do believe he can stay there, you know.
But Bobby, I the way you talk about Trea is why I like watching you hit Fungos to the infielders, because you have such a unique way of talking to them. You pump them up, but you also but you also will point out mistakes that they made when you're hitting them the Fungos. How would you describe your style, and how do you make it work? Because we just talked about different personalities. Bohm's different than Stott's different than Bryce is different than Trea. But all these guys, when we talk to them about you, they kind of like, they have a little smile on their face. They have a little, twinkle in their eye when they talk about, their session that they just had with you, or the time they spent with you on the field before a game.
Again, I don't really know. Rube's is coach, guys. It's I think the most important thing is my style is myself. Like, I just make sure when I go out there, I to work with a guy, I'm myself. I try my best to think of each guy like my son. I try to think, okay, if this was my son and he's about to get released, or he's about to get a $20 million contract or whatever, like, where would he be? How would I be treating him? I try to have fun with it. I try to be straightforward with what we need to work on. But I also will never forget how hard this is. Look, I never played in the big leagues. I played the AAA. I talk about it all the time. I make fun of myself. When the guys make a play at 9 o'clock at night, I tell them at 1 o'clock I could do anything with the glove. I could throw ball. Oh, my God, I was so good. But at 7 o'clock, I got bad, and at 9 o'clock, I got worse. The more pressure in the game, the more I got worse. So that's a real thing. I mean, infield in, I'd catch it and look, and he's running home, I'd throw it up the backstop. It just was real. Like, guys don't understand how much strength it takes to play within that comfort zone with energy, but also not feel the pressure of 30,000, 40,000 people and TV people and everything. Knowing you got to answer a question if a ball goes through your legs, everything that maybe I overthought it when I played, but I try to poke fun at that with them and let them know that, the best of the best of the best make mistakes, but I'm going to tell you about it when you do, and we're going to try to get better at it.
That's awesome.
It is great stuff. If I don't want to belabor Trea, but you said something interesting that you wish you had him when he was 18. What's the one thing you would have focused on if you had him when he was 18?
Well, it would have been more about footwork early on. He's such a fast player. And he probably was even faster then. So he's going to be out of control a lot more than a lot of players. If you think about it, like, I call it playing on skates. Like, if you can imagine someone out there on skates and you're hitting ground balls to them, their feet are so fast. And early on in life, we would have attacked that. I would have attacked that a little bit more.
Okay.
Tried to get efficient footwork versus fast footwork, basically. And that's what we're trying to do now. Like, you could go to get a ground ball 4 feet to your right and take 2 steps to it, or you could take 15 steps to it and shuffle your feet and kick dirt. And if you can picture that, that's what a lot of young infielders do wrong, in my opinion. The ball's right there, ready to be caught. It's maybe one crossover and a square up, and then it's there. But the feet start shuffling, dirt starts flying, they work around it, and before you know it, the ball is all over their body, and they have a collision hop. Like, they don't get a short hop or a long hop. They haven't worked the hop. And I think some of those things are some of the things I would have definitely attacked with Trea early on. Really, really try to slow his feet down to be more efficient with his footwork, instead of fast with his footwork. And we're doing that now. And then at times he sits back on balls now that it's going to be growing pains that would have happened at 17, 18, 21, some of the things he's learning about finding hops and things.
Is that like the old John Wooden line, do it quickly but don't rush?
That's a great line. That's the hard part. Who can do that? That's the problem.
The difference in that. Okay.
Yeah, that's Bryce Harper with the bases loaded in the World Series when he's at his best. It's just chill. We're all biting our nails and hearts jumping out our chests, and it's just putting gas in a car to him. It's like nothing. And I wish I could bottle that. I wish I could like give it in everybody a little glass of water with it in it every day. Wish I could give it to my son. I wish I could give it to all the minor leaguers, and you'd see a lot of players be a lot better. You know, so many talented players in the minor leagues and in high school and college that never get that, and they never make it because they never get that.
That's awesome.
Bobby, I was kind of curious. Just anybody, and I like to ask this question a lot. Anybody in particular that influenced the way you coach, the way you interact with the players? Is this just you, or have you had other mentors that have helped you sort of work your way through this process?
Well, I think we're a product of a lot of people that touch us in our lives. You know, like I learned so much about the game from Buck Showalter. I mean, so much about the game, but I would not say he ever really coached me or like hit me. You know, he hit me grounders, but he didn't really coach me. I learned the ins and outs of why you play infield in, why you did, you know, all those type of things. But Brian Butterfield was, you know, my best coach. I mean, he coached me. He made it fun. I can remember taking grounders when I first signed and went to Oneonta, New York, and he was hitting me grounders, and it was just like my little 15-minute spiel now. It was my best time of the day then. It was just I was the one getting the ground balls and having Butter challenge me and praise me, and he was amazing. Yeah,
That's awesome.
I had Butter as a coach mate. He was the best, man. He was one of the best I've ever seen, and I got to tell you, I'm not saying because you're on our show, but I really love the way you talk. You're as close to someone who articulates and works with their infielders as my dad was, and obviously I have a great deal of respect for my father and what he did as an infield instructor and an infielder. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Yeah,
well, I appreciate that.
and you mentioned Buck. After Alec had that tough night a few years ago against the Mets, who were managed by Buck, we were in Citi Field about 2 weeks later, and I was talking to Buck, and he was bringing up Bohm, and he's like, "That kid's a good player. He's going to be fine because Bobby's going to get him right. You watch, Bobby will get him right." Buck Showalter told me that. I used it in a story.
Wow.
He thinks very highly of you. If I could just shift to another young player who we're all really curious about. You got a pretty good look at in spring training. Is that Aiden Miller, another infielder? What did you think of him?
I mean, I shoot. I mean, he's a stud. I mean, the question is, can he stay at shortstop? And I say yes, he can. He's different. He's the guy I talk about, like a Gene Segura. He's got those thick legs. He's going to be in the ground a lot different than Trea. He's not going to be peeling out. He's not going to be a Ferrari on dirt. You're going to see his moves be efficient. As he develops, he's going to play it like a Cal Ripken or like a Seager. I mean, I compare him to Seager over there in Texas, and he's got a chance. He's got the arm to stay there. He's got the feet to stay there, the quickness to stay there. So yeah, no question. I think he's got a chance to be a really solid major league infielder.
Great.
Bobby, you mentioned your son and just, you know, all sorts of players coming up. You will be in these coaches clinics at the ballpark sometimes on Sunday mornings. You have a lot of kids come on the field. I'm sure, you know, your kids growing up Little League and all that stuff. We have a lot of parents that listen to this show. I've got a 9-year-old son. What is there something that you see with young players that you wish, oh my gosh, if I could just send this message out to everybody, to kids trying to learn how to catch a ground ball? You know, one thing I hear on the Little League field is butt down, get your butt down. And then they're sitting on the ground.
Right.
Is there anything that you would say to parents out there or coaches that are listening about just getting a young kid to field a ground ball better? I don't know if that might be impossible.
I mean, it's not one thing, but I'll say first and foremost it's just got to be fun. It cannot feel like when you're out there working on fundamentals or anything like that, it can't be work. It's a game. It's got to be fun, or you lose so many kids, you know, they'll just shut down on it. But the one thing I preach, and I talk about it all the time to even our guys, is catch the ball, right? Don't field the ball. There's a connotation in your mind when you think of fielding what it looks like, right?
Yeah, like
That's exactly right. So if a pop-up is hit to you, what do you do to a pop-up? You catch it. Yeah. What do you do to a line drive?
Catch it.
Catcher throws the ball back to the pitcher.
catches
it. Pitcher throws to the catcher. He catches it. He throws it first. Now, as soon as the ball is on the ground, right? Our mind says, field it, right? And there's a connotation that goes with it of body movement, all these things that are unnecessary, all these different things that are moving. So you'll see, like Trea made a backhand catch day before yesterday in the game. And if you watch that, it was like maybe 2 feet to his right. And especially nowadays with the fields, how much nicer they are. Maybe 30 years ago, you have to work around and get in front of that. The ball might bounce up and hit you in the chest, all those things. Mm-hmm. Well, especially now, but the gloves are like perfect now. Everything, all the technology, the field, everything. So all Trea did was take a little half step over and he put his backhand down there and he killed the short hop and he stood up and threw him out. Like he took 1 half step, made the right move, caught the short hop. And if you look at it, he caught that ball just like he would be catching a line drive, right? And then the other thing we talk about, I don't want him to backhand the ball. Well, the backhand is the easiest catch to make. You backhand every catch you make, if you think about it. When the catcher's catching a throw from a pitcher, he's backhanding the ball, right? His glove is turned with his thumb down.
Right.
But when we go to teach an infielder a backhand, we teach them to field the backhand. So they have that retreating move with their hand, and it gets booted, and it runs up their arm, and it goes underneath their glove. There's a retreating action of their glove, which it doesn't exist in anything else that is caught. Catch and pop up, your glove goes towards it a little bit. Catcher catches a fastball, the glove's moving towards it a little bit. And then we go field a ground ball. We want the glove that we, in our mind, picture the glove is moving away from the ball a little bit, funneling, retreating. And if you do that, the timing has to be impeccable or you're going to miss that ball. So, I mean, that's a whole lot on one thing, but make it fun and preach, catch the ball the same as you do when the ball's in the air and everywhere else. Just try to find hops to catch, you know.
I've heard you say, people say, you know, catch it like an egg. And I've heard you say, it's not an egg.
It's not an egg.
It's not an egg.
It's not an egg. And
It's
ask your teeth when they get knocked out. It ain't an egg.
As a former shitty infielder, I find this stuff fascinating. And you're right. A catcher catches every ball backhand. I'm thinking about it. I remember having conversations with Ryan Sandberg, and he was like a contradiction because he used to say,
he used to push the ball.
Right. He used to say, get soft. You know, good infielder gets soft. But when you watch Ryan Sandberg play, he caught the ball like you want him to. He kind of almost jabbed at it at second base.
He had a jab at it. Exactly.
He went out and caught that ball. He was like a contradiction, you know?
Yeah.
And he did it to the tune of being a Hall of Famer.
Really well in Chicago. And I was doing the same spiel I do here. I was doing it in Chicago in the minor leagues, and I go to big league camp, and he and I hit it off right away, and I would pick on him and like I do the players. But I would say it to him, and I think he started saying, damn, you're a good infield coach. And he started noticing, like, he was a great infielder, 9 gold gloves. Some of the things he was doing maybe didn't even necessarily register at the time, but he did. He pushed through the ball. There was a small, I call it kill it. You got to kill the hop. You can't retreat with the hop, you know. And I'm not saying sometimes your glove doesn't have to retreat but the more you can avoid retreating, the better off you are.
I see Bohm doing that all the time. He's out in front of that ball. He's out going and getting it.
Yes. Yeah. He's got one of the things, he's slow-footed, right? He doesn't have but he does have a lot of wingspan. He has length, I call it. So his ability to get to a short hop is better than, let's say, a Jose Ramirez in Cleveland. He'll have to do it with his feet, where Bohm's feet doesn't have to move as quick because he can get to that hop with his reach. His arm is longer, his body's longer. So, you know, I had Manny Machado, and that is a lot like that. That reach and that length allows them maybe a little less footwork needed to get to hops because they can reach and get there.
And infield has gotten so tough. I think especially on the left side of the diamond, because these exit velocities are crazy. They got to be more than, you know, I mean, the average exit velocities these days, the balls are harder, the bats are harder. These balls are flying at these guys like missiles.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, the one advantage just happens now. We play on a manicured field. I mean, these fields are every 3 innings they get drug again. They get all the cleat holes out of the way. And Bo and I talk about all the time. That stuff that Bo was playing on, sand. And as soon as a guy got on second base, one time you basically were playing good luck, So it becomes it was a little bit more of a fist fight, more of an infielder had to have a little more grit versus necessary technique. I would say you could do a lot more technique stuff now because the field cooperates, the hops, everything's more consistent, and it stands out like a sore thumb when you see a bad hop now. It just jumps out at you, where that was happening so much 30 years ago. So
that's awesome. I remember
great stuff, man.
Yeah, that's great. Great, Bobby. I just want to mention real quick, like I do remember in spring training, you were working with Kyle Schwarber at first base, and we said, "How's it going?" He goes, "Well, I said the word field a ball," and Bobby immediately said, "I don't want to hear that word again. You catch the ball. You catch the ball. You don't field it." And that was great because he said it with a smile on his face, so he was having fun out there. So
it's semantics, right? People, oh man, what are you doing? Are you being no? But it does give you a kind of in your brain. Right. As soon as you say field, your brain has a visual of what that looks like. And I'm trying to get the guys not to look like that, to not try to reproduce that. I want them to hunt hops. I want them to hunt short hops and long hops, use their feet to get to them, and then ball security. Once we got ball security, then don't drop it and throw it accurately. It's pretty stupidly simple, but like find the hop, man. Let's go. You can make a lot of money if you can live in the short hop world for sure.
I love it. Well, Bobby, thanks a lot for the time, man. We love, we just love hearing you talk and talking infield, and thanks for all the insight. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
great stuff. Thanks, Bobby.
Love it. Thank you, Bob.
All right.
Thanks, Bobby.
You. All right.